Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Alex Salmond has taken a rather unique view on the whole Margaret Ferrier situation. He seems to think it was the SNP that have betrayed her, rather than the other way round. And that is a very odd position to take. It was, after all, her who got on the train whilst knowingly having COVID, breaking the very rules she helped draft and bring in. You'd think she knows better. And of course they removed the whip, she stands as an independent, and then hopes to God that the 30 days ban won't lead to a re-election. They've got the recall petition out now. That finishes tomorrow. We'll either know tomorrow evening or probably first thing Tuesday morning whether she is an MP or not still. Chances are she won't be, and as Parliament's recessed, chances are she'll never stand there again. And of course you're going to have this new vote come in, and the SNP have already picked a candidate for it. So if she does stand, then she is going to be splitting the independent vote, therefore allowing an easy run-in for Labour, which would be no bad thing. Not that I particularly like Labour, but anyone but the SNP. And so we'll have a look at this article, see why Alex Salmond is sticking with her and not looking at her as a liability, which I think most people would. Anyway, here goes. So, Margaret Ferrier, thrown to the wolves by disloyal SNP, claims Alex Salmond, who wants a single indie candidate in Rutherglen. And he means by that, he wants his candidate in Rutherglen, because he is desperate to get another candidate, to get another seat, and to remain relevant. And he needs the money, of course. He hasn't got any money. So the Alba leader accused Nicola Sturgeon of using the Rutherglen and Hamilton West MP to divert press attention from the other public health failings of her administration, because of course at that point, just at the start of this process, everything was coming out, everything was starting to crumble, people were starting to see the truth, and she needed to deflect it. And so she did. So she basically said, oh, well, look, we can use Margaret Ferrier, we'll deflect, and people can look at that. Meanwhile, we can let this just fade into the background. Of course, it didn't work, and even now we're still looking at all the problems caused by the Shipman sisters, over time. Anyway, shamed nationalist MP Margaret Ferrier has been thrown to the media wolves by the SNP, according to the former party leader Alex Salmond. The Rutherglen and Hamilton West MP will find out next week if she faces a by-election to hold on to her seat after she was suspended from the Commons for 30 days for breaking COVID rules. Yeah, as I say, probably Tuesday morning. The recall petition will close Monday, with 10% of the constituency required to force an election. And rumour has it, and what I've been told is that, and not just me, others as well have been told, that they have hit the threshold. It's looking like it's going to be close, apparently, but they think they've hit the threshold, so there probably will be an election, but we'll know for sure on Tuesday. Anyway, Ferrier had the SNP whip removed when details of her breach, for which she was later convicted in court, emerged in 2020 and has since sat as an independent. And yet also, it must be said, as an independent, has consistently and always voted the SNP line. And I think she was doing that in the hope that the SNP would take her back, at some point in the future, having done her penance, as it were. Well, chances are that isn't going to happen. Salmond, who now leads the fringe Alba party, pointed the finger at Nicola Sturgeon, who he said had singled out Ferrier to divert press attention from other public health failings of her administration. Now, on a slight aside, this is the sort of thing they do. When they've got bad news, they go, oh, look over here, look at the shiny thing over here, rather than looking at the thing that I don't want you to look at. And we're seeing this at the moment in America with Hunter Biden. And all sorts of things are coming out there. And so what's America getting to? Oh, look, UFO. Look at the shiny UFOs. Please don't look at Hunter Biden. Yeah, well, actually, we're looking at both. So it isn't going to work because we're not stupid. But that is the sort of thing that's happening. And it's the sort of thing that's happening here. Anyway, the former First Minister was speaking on the same day Yousaf paid a visit to the constituency to support local councillor Katie Loudon, who will stand for the SNP if an election takes place. He said, the reality is... Now, here's the thing as well, just another slight aside, but this is relevant. Katie Loudon, at the start of this process, didn't go out. She wasn't going out. She wasn't canvassing because they didn't want to get people aware that there was the recall petition happening and reminding people that they need to go along and sign it, kind of thing. So she was basically held back. She was stymied. She was told, no, you got to hold back. Don't go out and tell people. Keep it quiet. Keep it on the down low so that people won't go out and do the sign. And now they think that they have got the site of the number there. They're pushing her out. Quick, now go and do it. Well, she's behindhand, really, isn't she? But that's how it is. Anyway, the reality is that Margaret Ferrier, he says, was thrown to the media wolves by the then First Minister, anxious to divert press attention from the other public health failings of her administration, and sentence pronounced by those with a vested interest in a by-election. The current First Minister has carried on this disgraceful lack of compassion to a woman who's devoted her life to furthering the cause of Scottish independence. Yes, but she's also devoted her life to spread COVID on trains and break the rules that she brought in. Is that conveniently overlooked that she is a criminal? If the SNP members need to understand what has gone wrong with their party, then they need look no further than this totally depressing display of disloyalty. They weren't being disloyal. They were doing the right thing. If it had been any other party, Labour, Tory, Lib Dem, he would have said they've done it. It'd have been sanctimonious about it. It's only the fact that she is in an independent mood. She's one who fights for independence, that he's doing this. It's wrong. Alaba has never had a politician elected, and he's unlikely ever to. Although it has 2 MPs due to defections from the SNP. Despite that, Salmond called on a single candidate under a Scotland United banner if there is a by-election, and he wants it to be his candidate, of course, because he needs someone in there. He needs to have a candidate earning money at public expense to give money into the funds of his party. Asked about Mr. Salmond's comments on Saturday, Mr. Youssef said, "It's not just an error of judgment, of course. Margaret Ferrier was guilty of a number of charges as well. That's pretty serious. Therefore, a cross-party group in Westminster, not one led by the SNP, decided those significant sanctions on Margaret Ferrier, and that's why we have this recall petition. Process," he said, "has been followed all the way through." It's funny how he's relying on Westminster to get him out of this particular problem, and yet it's always Westminster that's causing the problems, isn't it? Bit of a hypocritical approach there, I think. He says, "I think Alex Salmond, perhaps not for the first time in this regard, is in a minority in terms of how Margaret Ferrier has been treated. It will now be up to the people of Rutherglen and Hamilton to have their say on whether there should be a by-election, and we think there probably will be." I can't wait for it. Anyway, I shall round that off. I shall come up and finish this video. Salmond does get an awful lot wrong, doesn't he? And I think it's generally anyone on the independent side keep getting things wrong, because their very basis of being is the wrong side. They're the wrong side of Scotland. They're the wrong side of history. They're the wrong side of everything. But for Salmond to sit there and say he wants one single candidate, I can see why he's saying it. But of course, he wouldn't be happy if it was an SNP candidate, would he? He wants this one candidate, but only if it's his, because he's desperate. What a sad man. Anyway, I shall finish there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and here's hoping that tomorrow, or possibly Tuesday, we get some great news about Rutherford and Hamilton West. Bye.